Now I'm going to speak a little bit more about one of our European projects, Be Resilient, that we coordinate. The aim of Be Resilient project is to just unlock funding opportunities for biomass resilience. And the aim is to help our SMEs to find findings, to develop different projects, and to give some interesting content about the valorization of byproducts. So the aim is to empower food processing and producing SMEs to become more resilient. That's why the name is Be Resilient, by means of an optimum use of biomass. The focus, there are two great focus on maximizing the usage of available feedstock and on valorization of side stream. We have 8 different partners. So some of them are here. I've seen Valorian today. Yeah, just over there. Yesterday there was Flanders Food as well. So we have partners from Spain, from France, from Italy, from Belgium, so Flanders Food, and from Greece as well. This project started 3 years ago, and it ends here at the end of Augustus. And the aim, as I said, it was to grant SMEs with fundings, with different kind of fundings. We got 4 different lump sum. One was the mobility support. We provide with fundings to SMEs to come to an event in Greece. It was a networking event, and a lot of different countries took part at this event. We were about 11 EU countries. And then we got 3 different lump sum. It was the acceleration lump sum, and there you have the innovation lump sum. It helped SMEs to develop projects, and it could be collaborative or individual projects. We got also the business continuity plan to help SMEs just to react in case of crisis. How can we just go on with the business? And internationalization also just to open more markets. If you want any information about the Be Resilient project, because of course there was this possible financing, but there is also a very, very interesting hub where we gather all information, and you can find technical information. You can find from various partners, and this hub will go on after the project, so you will still be able to find a lot of precious info if you want to valorize your byproducts. And we are still trying to develop more projects on valorization of byproducts. So if you have any needs, or if you want to develop another project, don't hesitate to get back to us, because we can be, I think, a quite reliable partner in the development of your project. And now I'm going to invite our SMEs who won the financing of their project in Belgium, in Wallonia. So we have 3 different SMEs. Yeah, well, you can come to the stage. Thank you. So we have Next Grain, sorry. Iclo, yeah, which is going to be the next one. And Living First. So what we're going to do now is just make a very short presentation. We're going to have a 10-minute presentation of each project, and then if you have any questions, I'm gonna give you the time to ask them for your question. And you're the first one.
Thank you.
Stand up to you.
Okay, I do. Hello. I'm Thibaut Fastenakels. I'm one of the founder of Iclo circular substrate producer. So we are located in Belgium, close to Liège, Luik, in Villers-Sous-Bouillet, and we have a warehouse of 7,000 square meters where we produce those substrates. We produce a large gamut of large panel of substrate for the farmers. So we produce shiitake, oyster mushroom, eringi, nameko, maitake, a lot of Asiatic, Japanese, Chinese mushroom. So we produce almost all kind of mushrooms except the mushrooms, the white button mushrooms that are more common in Europe. So it's a kind of small business in Europe, but in Asia it's much bigger. So what's the substrate? The substrate is a block of 2.5 kilogram. So we sell only the substrate that grows in a plastic bag to the growers. The substrate is the bigger part of the mushroom, and the mushroom itself, it grows in our customer place, the farmers, you know, and it's the fruit, it's the sexual part of the substrate, right? And all the bottom, right, it's the substrate, it's the non-sexual part of the mushrooms, and that's what we sell to our customer. The substrate is a mix of wood, it's beech sawdust, le hêtre, and a mix also of wheat bran, also a cereals mix. There is a bit of lime, there is structural ingredient like straw, hemp, and also water. Yeah, so this mainly our customers are from Belgium, Germany, Holland, Austria, Denmark. It's a market that is growing more or less 7% per year. And here you can see the final results. So concretely, we will sell our substrate on shelves like this. We'll sell like 40 shelves in one truck, and the growers will open the plastic bag, and the mushroom will grow in 1 or 2 weeks at the farmer place. On a 2.5 kilogram substrate, you can expect more or less 800 grams of mushrooms. Here in this example, it's eringi substrate, which is very famous in Asiatic countries. So ICLO is a long story because we started in 2015-14 very small. We were in a small basement of 50 square meters, producing like 10 kilograms of mushroom per month. After we went to Cave de Cureghem in Brussels area. It was a big basement of 10,000 square meters where we used to produce substrate, microgreens, and also the mushrooms. And after in 2022, we did a fundraising, and we moved to this place close to Liège, and to focus only on the substrate production. We can also say, our old name was Le Champignon de Bruxelles, but because we moved, it was not so good to keep the same name. So what are the different steps of the substrate production? We have first the mixing of the different ingredients I mentioned before. We mix everything in big mixers. After we make bags, every day we make more or less 20,000 kilograms of substrate, so more or less 10,000 bags per day, 7 days a week. Then after this step, we have to autoclave those substrates because, as you know, there are so many bacteria, other mushrooms you don't want to grow inside the raw material. So we have to sterilize them during 60-100 minutes at 121 degrees in these autoclaves. We sterilize with steam. And after this cycle of sterilization, the substrates are completely clean. There is no life anymore, no endospore, no spores, no mushrooms, no bacteria. And it's very important to give our mushrooms the best opportunity to grow well. After we have the inoculation phase, we wait just before maybe 20 hours, the substrate cools down till 30 degrees, then we can inoculate them with mycelium. Okay, so it's a kind of the size of a spoon that goes inside the bag, and then we close the bag, stickers on it. So this happens for sure in a very clean room where there is also no bacteria, nothing, because if there was, we would have the chance to have infection. So it's very important to be so clean in this part of the factory. After we have the incubation phase, that's why our place is so big. It's because the incubation goes to 5 weeks till 14 weeks, depending on the type of mushrooms. And in this area of 4,000 square meters, we control all the humidity, the CO2, and temperature, because the substrate generates so much heat. Important part too. And after, we sell directly those substrates on the shelves to our customers around Europe. So ECLO is also about impact, because in 2 years we developed 35 workers. We installed a lot of solar panels because our electrical consumption is quite high. We are the only person, the only company that makes this work in Belgium. And it's quite circular to produce substrate, because you always use co-products of other companies. Like the sawdust is coming from sawmill, the wheat bran is coming from a moulin? A mill, from the mill. Sorry. So all those products are already quite circular, but also a part of my job because I'm in charge of R&D and quality at the factory, it's also to find new co-products to produce those substrates. So I go sometimes in companies to check what are their waste, and if I can use it to replace my cereal mix. So I need something with a high nitrogen content, but also with a bit of fat and stuff like this, and analyze this. And so with the help of Wagralim, we tried to find new products to replace those, for example, this cereal mix, which is quite expensive and that can be used for other things, you know. So this is also part of my job, and also it's quite circular because our customers, they receive the substrates, and after they grow the mushrooms, they harvest the mushroom, they sell it, but after the substrate that is still there, they give it to farmers so they can use it as a compost. So as I said, with Wagralim, we tried to use old bread, dried bread, you know, from all the shops and supermarkets, as how do you say, as a part of our substrate, you know, to replace this cereal mix. But there were a lot of issues with the supply chain, you know, because you have to go every day in all the shops, and if the bread is getting too old, it's not so good. So we changed the project to go on something where the supply chain was a bit easier, you know. So I spoke with a lot of farmers close to my place, and they told me, yeah, we have a few, for example, 2 years ago, big issue with a lot of rain during the months of August and July, just before we harvest the cereals. Then it's the nitrogen content of the cereals got very low, and then you cannot make bread with those cereals. Or sometimes there are mushrooms, also infection on the field, and you cannot take this barley, this cereal, to produce beers, for example. Then we try to find an arrangement, the best price for them and for us, and we did a lot of experimentation to use all those second category cereals as a part of our substrate, and we had quite great results. And so, yeah, the farmers was very happy. He could valorize much better their cereals, and it was also good for us. So, thank you, Wagralim. Okay, thank you very much, and I wait for your questions. Thank you.
Yes, the question will arrive just after the 3 presentations, if it's possible. So the next presentation will be done by Louis, so about the kombucha and the SCOBY.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Louis Falis. I'm a co-founder of Living Forest and CEO of the company. And today I'm going to speak about, I'm going to shortly speak about upcycling of the forest biodiversity, kombucha, SCOBY, and then circular food innovation. So we are Living Forest. We created the company in April 2023. And we are, from a side, a spin-off of the University of Liège, Agrobiotech Jean Blou, really close to the laboratory of Dorothée Goffin and Enrico Bruges, the Smart Gastronomy Lab, that you may be going to visit tomorrow. And beside this, we are a startup of the BX Venture Studio, which is a startup studio specialized in clean tech. And our idea is concretely to leverage the Belgian forests in the food industry to produce sustainable, innovative, and healthy drinks, kombucha, and then finally valorize the natural byproducts of the kombucha, which is the SCOBY. So as you understood, we have 2 main pillars in the company. First of all, the kombucha. You may have tasted during the break. Hope you like it. So we create So-Good kombucha, started to sell in January 2024, and the idea is to concretely create a product which is going to be much more affordable in terms of taste than the common kombucha, which are mostly really vinegar and acetic, and then to valorize the forest in it by introducing it as a flavor. And beside this, the second part of the project is a SCOBY. The SCOBY is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, which is a byproduct created naturally during the fermentation of the kombucha, and you can actually see it layer by layer developing on the top of the tank when you use stainless steel of a glass tank. So we've been granted last year of a Be Resilient grant. And the idea was to work mainly on the SCOBY, on this one. And the idea was to crack new ways to produce higher volume of SCOBY, because for now, as I said, it's only produced on top of the surface. You do not produce a lot of SCOBY, so it's quite hard to valorize it. So the idea was to find a new way to produce kombucha, new tank probably, purify the product, and then process it in a food receipt as an ingredient. And the food was an ice cream. I don't have ice cream today. Before Be Resilient, we had a lot of publication actually, a lot of papers. So we have to first find which paper were the more interesting for us to focus on some of them. So it was quite complex to really find our way. Fortunately, we had the Smart Gastronomy Lab who helped us a lot on this. In the end, we actually found a way to produce more SCOBY in silicone bags. So we did obtain some results to help us to continue working on the project for the next few years. So we achieved a few things in a year, which is really good for the next step of the project. First big challenge was to actually find a production process which is going to balance between a drinkable kombucha and a lot of SCOBY, because okay, the more you're going to ferment the product, the more you're going to get SCOBY, but the more the the kombucha will not be drinkable. So it's a really good balance to find on this. And we found the balance by multiplying by 20 the amount of SCOBY we do produce by liter. So it's a good achievement. And the biggest change we made was to change the tank. Actually, for now we produce kombucha in stainless steel tanks by producing it in silicone bags, which allow air to enter all the surface. Actually, you do produce much more SCOBY. So that's the most innovative way we applied to produce more SCOBY. We found ways through publications to purify the product and then finally to integrate it in a food recipe, vanilla ice cream. So there's three different pictures. So on the left you get the first picture is actually the SCOBY going out of a silicone bag, which actually creates a real bubble. You get the kombucha inside, then you can perforate to get the kombucha back to another batch, and finally after purification you get a really white material that you can transform and introduce it in the food. So a few learnings which are quite obvious but really interesting to go further in the project. So the more surface you have in silicone bags, the more SCOBY you're going to produce, and then the more product you're going to be able to valorize. Most of the time in the kombucha you get some tannins. They give extra work of purification, so we found recipes without tannins to allow us to have less time to clean the product. And also kind of obvious, kombucha is a living drink, so really kind of complex to have all the parameters handled. So it's quite complex to control, like probably all the scientific things, but I'm not a scientist, so yeah. So what's next? So the idea with all the results we get is to scale up the production, to produce more and more product, to finalize the transformation process, the purification process, and then, of course, to get something commercial, to really develop a product to be sold in the market. And for this, we are looking for funding, of course, so maybe some European funding in the next few months. Thank you for your time.
Hello, good morning to all. I'm Tommy Andrade, co-founder and CEO of NextRain Belgium. I'll be here talking to you a bit about clean tech and how we apply it while valorizing byproducts, and specifically two byproducts in Belgium today. So we began thinking about existing food waste, what could we do with it, and how could we change the optics and look at it as a resource. Obviously, we all know here in this room that byproducts often have nutritious ingredients, be it proteins, be it fibers, and we at NextRain, we decided to work with brewer spent grain and with apple pomace. Today I will focus my presentation on apple pomace, also because it was on apple pomace that we did the Be Resilient project, but I would be happy to discuss with any of you after about brewer spent grain also. So the untapped potential of the food industry in Europe, you all know the numbers, it's about 88 million tons. And from these, what is interesting for us, it's the 10-15% of byproducts, of these side streams that are not spoiled food, but are just byproducts. So as I told you, we work with BSG and apple pomace. And today they are mainly used for low-value animal feed or just disposal. We all know that these nutrients could be very interesting for other appliances in the food system. We also pride ourselves in using in our valorization process clean technology, meaning trying to have a resource efficiency, trying to avoid any chemicals utilization, and doing circular economy not just by doing it, but by making sure that the impact is there, and that we do in our final products have, for example, lower CO2 emission than the traditional products. So the approach we have for both our byproducts is a bit the same. We get the brewery spent grain from the breweries or the apple pomace from the apple juice producer, and we press it, we dry it, and we mill it without adding any additional substances. What we do, we produce functional flours that can be used, that are flours that can be used in any traditional way, and that are partial substitution flours with the competition of the wheat flour. Here it's the case study of our project with Be Resilient. So we begin with the apple juice producer, one of the biggest in Wallonia, Les Vergers du Pigny, or EVH, and they already had a conscience that they had a byproduct, the apple pomace. They were partially using it as for biomethanization, but they still wanted to explore other possibilities. That's where we come in as Next Grain. We developed a way of transforming it into a powder or a flour. Actually, legally, you should say powder because a flour is supposed to be from a cereal, and apple is obviously not a cereal. And then the third party of this project was Ecopoon, a company based in Erve, in the Liège region, that was producing edible spoons, and that's one of the snacks that maybe you already tasted or you might want to taste later. And they wanted, because they were doing it with the simple wheat flour, and they wanted to try with a circular and flavor-based flour. And this, so we completed successfully the project. The main takes of the project, and I will try to go for each company. I think for the Vergers du Pigny, obviously it confirmed the idea that they had a resource in hands that was being unexploited until now, and that they could eventually even monetize that resource. For us, it enabled us to improve substantially the quality of our apple pomace flour, also to see what were the needs in the final end user of the granulometry, for example, of the flour. And for Ecopoon, it enabled them to improve their product and to add on top of their selling point of being a substitute for plastic spoons, the fact that they were using a circular product. So this is how we see the potential future of our products. Obviously, we are thinking and trying to have research on what I call added value products, and we've been talking a lot these days about this, being the fibers, the polyphenols, or the protein extraction, but also thinking about more basic food applications, like meat alternatives and everything where you can use, where you're using today flour, but also going a bit beyond food, thinking about the cosmetic industry, biopackaging, or eco-materials. This is obviously where I can show you that this is not a single person or a single company challenge. It's obviously, it can only be successful if we work with different partners, and this session today with Wagralim, and I always thank Wagralim for taking us on this project, and of course of inviting us today. And it's only in this framework that valorization of byproducts can be successful. And I will just take a minute, because I was happy to listen this morning to some observations about the competition between, and it was of course about polymers, so a different thing, but the basic idea is the same. The competition between valorized products or circular economy products and traditional ones. I always say that we are not playing in a level playing field, because obviously, as it was said this morning, externalities are not taking on. We have to face a big challenge of the consumer acceptability. We, especially as a startup, face elevated costs, and so we are trying to promote a product that is, of course, much better for the planet, much better for the human being, but who is not known, who is sometimes looked upon as being, oh, it's coming from waste, so it's a bit strange. And that's where we need a regulatory framework that enables us to compete in a fairer way, because otherwise it's obviously very difficult. Here I just give some ideas about how we see the future of clean tech, and answering a bit the point that was raised about the Wallonian reality, where different byproduct centers exist in different places. It could be interesting to have the possibility of having microprocessing hubs where you can center several producers that exist in that region. It's very important, the consumer engagement and the fact to begin convincing people that this is the future, that these are resources that do exist, and that while we keep on talking a lot about climate change and the impact that food production has on our planet, we tend to forget that this waste is actually a resource and could be exploited in a much better and efficient way. So to scale, we need the solutions that are obviously local, traceable, and to understand the end consumer's necessities. Well, I hope I was fast enough, Cécile, so feel free to ask questions. We are here for that. You have realized that we are the non-scientists of the conference, so we do apologize for being maybe not as precise as you would like us, but I think we can bring an approach which is, okay, we are here, three kind of crazy people who decided to launch themselves in some small startups without, at least for me, any scientific basis. And yeah, we really enjoy it, and we feel that we have an impact and that we are trying to improve things. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. It was really a pleasure just to follow all the projects because they were quite different. And as you can see, the level of maturity of each SMEs is quite different as well. But it's always challenging to have the chance to follow those kind of projects. So thank you, you too. Is there any question? Because it's really I think interesting to have the point of view of the industry as well. Do they have applied even in a European project, or what they are going to do after this project? Yeah.
Thank you very much for nice presentations. I was just wondering, I was curious for the SCOBY. I already heard from Dorothee yesterday on kombucha and the SCOBY. For the application of the SCOBY in the ice cream, what is it that you bring as a functionality?
It's a fat replacer. So we remove the cream actually and replace it by the SCOBY.
And this is linked to what kind of components in the SCOBY?
So the SCOBY is mainly composed of bacterial cellulose, okay. And really mainly, so that's yeah, it's really linked to publication we saw through the labo. It was used like that. So we tested it and tasted actually, and found it really replaced in terms of taste the fat without giving extra acetic taste, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, any other question? Yeah.
Hi guys. Yeah, I didn't know you were producing SCOBY, and actually it's very interesting, and interesting linked with Thibaut's activity, because I just read that you could use the SCOBY as a bag for mushroom substrate. And could you imagine like replacing plastic bags?
Yeah, that would be great. But the thing is, we use 10,000 bags per day.
That's a lot of kombucha.
So it's 300,000 per month. So yeah, the price of the bag, if we want to be concurrential, for sure is important. But I didn't study the thing. But I know in USA and Japan they developed. A more organic, but I don't know what is plastic, you know, PP or PE, but that can be biodegradable. Yeah, that would be great, but I think the good solution for mushrooms, for substrate production, would be to have not a bag, but maybe bottles. So bottles you can reuse all the time. They use that a lot in Asia. But the problem is in Asia they have a big substrate farm and they produce all the mushroom at the same place. So after they can wash the bottles. But for us it's not the same because we have to send the bags in Germany, for example, and after they have to come back so we can clean them. But yeah, that would be a great solution. But I never studied the Scooby.
I can send you a paper.
Thank you.
Yes, any other question? No? Okay, thanks again for the explanation and beautiful project, and looking forward for another maybe project, maybe together for the next one.
Thank you.